6-1, ratios and proportions. A ratio is not a fraction. We sometimes reduce them like fractions, but a ratio is not just a fraction, it's a comparison. You can't have just a whole number, it's a comparison of one unit representing being compared to a second unit. So it can be written several different ways, and it can be turned upside down, and it can be written sideways.
I think
You think what's Oh, no, who knows what IFF means? Who remembers? Where is it? Yep. Where is it? Oh, there. Yeah, that's it. Okay, okay. All right, written as, you could say A to B, but that's not A, does not B as a denominator, A as a numerator. That's A to B, comparing two numbers, like the odds of 1 to 3 or something like that. Then it can be written like this, A colon B. And if you ever see it this way, it will often be written out as an extended one where we can use variables. I'll show you that way tomorrow. And it can also be written with the word to, A to B. Those are three different ways you're going to see ratios. And ratios are just comparisons of A, whatever value that is, to B, whatever value that is. Proportion is an equation stating that two ratios are equal. It has to have the equal sign between them. Okay, for example, we can use any letters we want. X to Y equals M to N. That is a proportion, and we've already been dealing with it. That's why this is going to be reviewed. All right, the thing about proportions is that it can be written several different ways, and they're all equivalent. You don't have to write this because there's not going to be a place to write it, but I want you to see it. We can watch it this way. That the X and the M are both on top, and that's equal. What if I turn it upside down? Is it still equal? N over M equals Y over X? Yeah, it's still equal. What if I turn it this way right here? M over X equals N over Y. Are they still equal? Mm-hmm. What's the only thing that you cannot do? You can't multiply. You can't set them up as diagonals, but you can cross multiply, right? You cannot say X over N. You cannot make that a fraction and say X over N equals what? Yeah, that's the only one you cannot do. You can't mix those two together, but you can flip it all around. All right, and then the last thing you need to know about this is that for any numbers A, B, C, and D where B and D are not zero, you can say that A over B equals C over D if and only if A times D equals B times C. See, looking at the way we set it up, we can cross multiply. If you're going to go diagonal, you're not making a fraction, you're making a product. You're multiplying A times D and C times B. And why is it that I said B and D cannot be zero? You're going to use this a lot in next year's math. Because it's on the denominator, yep? You can never have zero in the denominator. You can't divide by zero, can't have zero in the bottom of a fraction. Okay, questions on that? All right, let's do some quick review here. Some of these go back to algebraic review problems, but get your calculators. Help me out here. You guys know how to cross multiply, but some of these are going to involve using a little bit more algebra to find what X is. All right, now letter A, just cross multiply. We've been doing this in the past, so it shouldn't be anything new. 3 times 56. You can write it out, or you can do that in your calculator. I'm going to write it. 3 times 56 would equal what times what? 8 times x. All right, what's 3 times 56? 168. And what's 168 divided by 8?
21.
I couldn't hear it, I'm sorry.
21.
21? Okay, questions on that? They're going to get just a little bit more, they're going to get just a little bit more complicated when we get x squared and things like that. We'll have to figure out how to solve them. But these are things you already know. On Friday of this week, we'll finish up the factoring things that we've been doing and just practice that. But what do I get right here? That's right. Is that the answer already? 8, 2 times 4 is 8, y times y is y squared. Equals 9 times 8 is 72. Okay, now my goal is still to get y by itself. However, it's got a y squared there. I need to get y squared by itself first. So divide both sides by 8, and y squared equals 9. It's not quite done. I don't want to know y squared. Sit in. The radical on both sides, that's right. And there's going to be more than one answer. Do you know what both answers would be? Excellent. Positive 3 and negative 3. Anytime you have an exponent of 2, that tells you you're going to have 2 answers. So y equals positive 3 and negative 3. You've seen that sign before, I hope? If not, you can write it out as with the word or, positive 3 or negative 3. It's 2 answers, positive 3 and negative 3. Any other questions? Do letter C right now in your own. Any questions on that? You get D equals 9? Alright, now this is the trickiest one because you've got x plus 3 times x plus 3. You're multiplying across. Write it this way. X plus 3 times itself, which means squared, equals 4 times 9, which is 36. So I'm still just cross multiplying here. I'm just not writing it out. Any questions on what I wrote there? I can't get x by itself yet because it's trapped within the parentheses. It's like a house protecting it. So what you have to do is get rid of that squared and the parentheses. So that's when you go back to the square root, the radical. So watch this. If you take the square root of this side, squaring and square roots are opposite of each other. They mean like plus and minus, they cancel each other out. So all you're left with is x plus 3. Okay, square root and square are opposites that cancel each other out. But over here, I do the square root of 36 and I get 2 possible answers. Positive 6 and negative 6. Alright, so what's the only thing left to do to get x by itself? Again? Subtract 3. Yep, from both sides. You still want x by itself, so watch this carefully. You do minus 3 and you do minus 3. So I'm going to write it like this. X alone equals, there's 2 ways to do it. I'll just do it this way. Plus or minus 6 and then take away 3. You could write 3 in front if you wanted. Any question on that writing? I'll show you how to solve it in a second, but it's plus or minus 6 and then minus 3. All you do now to come up with your 2 answers is take one sign at a time. So I'm going to ignore the minus sign for a second. What's positive 6 minus 3? Positive 3. Good. Now ignore the positive sign for a minute and use this one. What's negative 6 minus 3? Negative 9. Okay, so that gives you your 2 answers. You have to use the positive sign for one of them, and you have to use the negative sign for the other one.